Welcome back, sports gamers. It's the Natural. I'm here with Danny Jugan, the mastermind behind Access Football 16. Glad to have you back this year, Danny.
Thanks for having me on again.
For people who don't know, who are you and what is Access Football?
Well, we are Axis Games, a very small development company. I am the only full-time developer, and Axis Football is a simulation football game for the PC. It features two really unique features. The first is the aim passing, where you can, dictate on the field where you want to throw the ball. And the second big feature for the game is the high level of customization that we offer.
Oh, I love that. I love the customization, bar none, the best out there any sports game. So you've been praised for really listening to your fan base feedback from last year's game. I mean, how? Tell me a little about how you interact with the fans and how you not easily, but you're able to get so many things they request into the game so quickly.
Well, I approach it as I don't have the resources to compete with what the other football games out there can bring. And so I approach it as I want to give the fans exactly what they want. And so I spend a lot of time on social media talking with people. I spend a lot of time on discussion boards, especially on the Steam discussions, really interacting with people and talking to them about what they want. And then I do everything I can to build the game around what they want. Because my approach is if I can give the community what they want, then they're going to get behind the game and they're going to get excited about playing a game that they've had some involvement in creating.
What are some of the game modes Access Football 16 does offer this year?
So we offer Quick Match, which is just a single match. You can play as the normal player where you control the person who's holding the ball. You can do Coach Mode, where you just call the plays and you watch the action. In a very soon update, we are going to be adding AI versus AI, so you can watch a simulated match. I know a lot of people are
Wow,
interested in doing that.
that's
That
cool.
should be in just a couple weeks. And then there's franchise mode, and we promised people that we would get franchise mode in this year, and we did. It wasn't to the extent that we wanted to, but basically what franchise mode has this year is you can play unlimited seasons, season after season. We added features to where you could simulate your own games. So if you're maybe playing a team that you don't really want to play, you can simulate it, or if you want to skip a couple seasons ahead, you could simulate all the way through. You can view your seasons, schedule, you keep track of some franchise stats. And when you do the franchise mode, I mentioned you can simulate the games, but you can also play it from the player's perspective or from the coach mode perspective. So if you want to be just calling the plays during franchise mode, you can do that as well. We're certainly planning on adding things like player aging, player progression, drafts, trades, that sort of thing in the future, because we know that that's a staple for franchise mode. That's something we wanted to add this year. We just kind of ran out of time and money.
Wow, wow. I mean, even though you didn't get all the things you wanted in there, I mean, that seems like you did a great job, get as much as you could. So one thing I definitely noticed is the upgraded graphics in the game this year. Can you go into more detail on how, what to improve with the graphics specifically in Access Football 16?
Absolutely. So, one of the things that we tried to be really transparent about was how we use the revenue that we made from the 2015 version. And one of the things that we went out and purchased were some custom motion capture animations. We spent quite a bit of money. We purchased over 75 animations, which once we broke them down, we ended up with well over 100. So, we added those to the game, which adds an additional layer of integrity to the motions and the movements that you see on the field. Certainly it's not where it needs to be yet, but how the players move looks a lot better, and that comes from the animations. We've also done a ton with the actual fields themselves. We had a lot of feedback about how bad the field textures looked, and so we've gone out and just completely overhauled the field textures. We've got snow and turf and grass and mud and dirt and lots of different field textures that you can choose from on the field. And one of the other things that we've done is we've also improved the crowd and the stadium textures themselves. Instead of last year where it was just this like gray mass of people sitting in the stands. Now they've got color, they reflect the home team, and it adds a lot to the environment and the experience of playing football. And certainly we're not there yet. We've got huge plans for what we want to be doing next year, but we feel like we made good strides this year.
Oh, awesome, awesome. One of the big things this year, what seems to be the biggest rage across many different sports games, is new commentary. Can you tell us a little bit about the new commentary announcer in the game?
Absolutely. So, again, one of the consistent pieces of feedback we received last year was how bad the announcer was. And it wasn't necessarily his voice or anything like that, but, and to be completely honest, we made the original Access Football on like $450, $500 budget. That was it. And literally,
Wow.
the announcer was my brother-in-law with a $5 mic in the bathroom. And we joke about it, but that's what we're working with, and that's what we had. And so we took some money that we made, and I hired a professional voice actor, and the guy is great. We plan on continuing to add stuff, but it adds, just the fact that he's got professional equipment adds a level of polish to the game that we didn't see last year. And again, people are used to having these AAA polished games, not just like games like Madden or that sort of thing, but across the board when you play these games, PlayStation, Xbox, computer, whatever, everything's nice and polished, and we just didn't have that luxury initially. So being able to hire Kyle was our announcer that we've got this year was huge.
All right, that's awesome. Sounds good. I mean, kudos to your brother for making do with what he had, though. So another thing is the player ratings in the game. How do you kind of determine the player ratings?
So the player ratings are taken directly from what we would rank the professional players that you would see. So obviously we can't use the actual names, we can't use the actual team names, but we know that people ultimately want to have that NFL experience when they play the game, which again is why we allow such high levels of customization. And so I had a group of guys, Dollar Jr., Sackmaster, and there was another guy, Roger Jinks, volunteered their time to go through and look at every player in the game, 53-man rosters for all of the 32 teams, and they go through and they look at, we evaluate them on over 20 different attributes for each player in the game, and we rate them, and we compare that directly to what you would expect those players on the corresponding NFL teams to be.
All right, awesome. So the game does offer full controller support, but how has having a mouse and keyboard affected the game's development?
So again, it adds a layer of complexity because we want to develop the game not only for people that want to use controllers, but also for mouse and keyboard. And when we originally released this year and last year, one of the gameplay features was the aimed passing. It works best when you use a mouse. You have much more control over where the ball is thrown with the mouse. And doing it with a controller, you move the pass circle on the field with the right joystick. And so having the option to use a mouse certainly brings a lot of additional complexity into how we design things. And for that reason, we've actually, in the next update, the one that's coming with the AI versus AI, we are adding in the option to toggle between our standard aimed passing and the traditional receiver button pressing that you see in Madden.
Icon passing.
Yeah, icon passing. And so you're going to be able to do both very shortly.
All right, cool. I mean, that's good to have some options. Do you think so? Like in a head-to-head match, either would either have an advantage? You think?
It depends on the skill of the player. So I think, and this is just my opinion, we haven't tested it out yet. I think that a skilled player, someone who's skilled at access football, will have an advantage using the aimed passing over someone using the controller. And the reason for that is, and why so many people enjoy the aimed passing, is you can throw routes that you can't throw with the icon passing. So for example, if you've got a receiver going down the field and you want to throw a stop route, with aimed passing, you just aim the pass behind the receiver, or you want to throw it over his right shoulder if he's running down the right sideline. And with the icon passing, that's difficult to do because you just hit the button, you just hope it goes where you want it to. And it's also a lot more rewarding being able to say, I didn't just hit the button and my receiver caught it. It's I selected the exact spot of where I wanted to throw that ball, and had I moved it anywhere else, it wouldn't have been completed.
I mean, that's so shocking to hear about that. The aim passing is like synonymous with access football to me. So to hear icon passing is like what? So, but no, I understand. It's good. It's always good having options. Can't hurt to have options. So I mean, you have new player controls in the game as well this year. Can you talk a little about those?
Sure. So again, that was directly from user feedback. People wanted just to have a little bit more depth in the gameplay as they controlled the players on the field. And so we added spin moves, juke moves, dives, as you're controlling the runner, just to give you a little bit of options. We have plans to add some spin moves, some hurdles, and that sort of thing in the future as well. And we have on defense as well some defensive line moves. So you can do rips, spins,
Okay.
that sort of thing. And those right now, just to be completely transparent, aren't user selected. So they happen as a part of the interaction between the offensive and defensive line, but we plan on adding user controls for those as well.
Okay. And how do those new abilities kind of tie into the ratings?
So we've got pretty complicated formulas that when a block occurs, a lot of things are taken into consideration as far as strength and a defensive lineman's ability to get off a block versus an offensive lineman's ability to block. And then, depending on the matchup between strengths, the defensive lineman will select to use an appropriate move. If he can bull rush him because he's stronger or larger, those kind of things are taken into consideration.
All right, great, cool. So one thing people will ask about when I talk a lot about other football games is team relocation. What are some of the crazier, zaniest places you can relocate? Can you go to Europe, or can you start a team in Africa?
So we support unlimited teams in the game. So there's not in-game controls for moving your team around, but what you can do is you can create as many teams as you want. And so it's as simple as copying a folder and changing some files. And so you could, as crazy as you want to come up with, if you want to have teams from Eastern Asia or something like that, you could go for it.
Sweet. So one of the new features is actually improved AI in the game. AI is definitely a huge sore spot for many sports games. Can you kind of talk about some of the improved AI? Also, explain the difficulty in developing AI itself.
Sure. So, I mean, when you look at sports in general, the difficult part about creating AI for sports is that there is such a high level of complexity and factors that influence what goes into making a decision at any moment on the field. And part of the difficulty is the fact that you could conceivably and arguably do multiple things at the same time, and they could all be considered correct. One of the things that we looked at improving this year, just on a kind of a base level of AI, was pursuit angles. And part of the difficulty in that is not necessarily saying he should be doing this, but looking at the underlying framework for incorporating that. So the formula, for example, for calculating a pursuit angle gets incredibly complicated, where on the surface it seems really simple. Like if guys running down the field, you take the angle towards the goalpost. And it's not always that simple. You can't just say, well, how far away is the defender from the guy, and then just project the guy's, forward vector along that path, how far away he is, because it depends on, positioning and all that sort of stuff. And so coming up with the AI schemes is a long process. We are certainly not there, and I'm certainly not saying that, we've got everything exactly where we want it. But it's a work in progress. We made huge strides this year. The feedback we've gotten about the improvements and how the players react a lot better has been really positive. So that's been good to hear.
So a big question, probably number one question I get, when will we see Access Football on consoles?
So you will see Access Football on consoles, if everything goes as planned, next year. So in 2017. We tried to go this year, and we know that the largest part of the sim gaming community for football is on consoles. And so we went through the process with Xbox, and we got denied. And we look at that as just a learning experience. They, were great. They weren't mean about it or anything, but they said, the game visually, graphically isn't where it needs to be. In order to go there. And, we said, we appreciate that feedback. That's exactly what we're going to work on. And so we've already reached out to some artists. We're going to have brand new player models. We're going to look at doing more animations just to bring up the visuals of the game. As far as PlayStation, PlayStation has some specific company makeup requirements before you can go on the PlayStation Network, but we are going to take care of that as well. So long story short, you can expect to see Access Football 2017 on PS4 and Xbox One.
What do you think about the new consoles? Does that include Neo and Scorpio there?
That remains to be seen. We will see how those plan out. I know for now we'll just be focusing on Xbox and PlayStation.
I look forward to playing Access Football in 120p, 120 frames per second there.
There you go.
So what will be close out the interview, what will be your sales pitch to gamers who've never played Access Football to go out there and grab it today?
Well, the first thing I want to know, or to let them know, is that the game's a lot of fun, and I would encourage them to look past the initial graphics of the game. And we don't think the game looks bad by any means, but compared to what's out there, it doesn't compete. If you can get past that, and we encourage you to do it, the game is a ton of fun. We've got great feedback, and the reviews this year for Access Football 16 have been overwhelmingly positive. The features that we have in the game, the gameplay, it provides a ton of entertainment, and the high level of customization that it offers allows you to have that NFL experience. If you want to do that, there are people that have mods out already. You can play NFL, you can play NCAA, easy to download and install, and so give it a shot. This is your opportunity to help build options in the football sim community. We are really transparent about how we use the revenue that we earned. So look at it as an investment in the future for your own gaming.
All right, great to hear. Thanks a lot, Danny. I appreciate you joining me today to talk about Access Football. Guys, check it out. Make sure go out and grab the game. Descriptions and the link below will link to grab the game from the Stream Store. And also, like you said, as an investment, if you want to see more games and more competition out there, these are the type of games we have to get behind as a community. and support these guys. He's put a lot of hard work into the game, and it definitely shows. It's improved by leaps and bounds this year, and we hope to see more improvements next year. Thanks a lot, Danny.
Thank you.
All right, you have a good one. This is The Natural. I'm out.